Today we're talking about experiences at the airport. And I have to say, it can be both exciting and stressful at the same time. I remember the first time I had to check in for a flight by myself. I was so confused. I didn't know where to drop off my luggage or how to get my boarding pass. There were so many signs, but everything felt overwhelming. I kept trying to figure out where to go without asking for help.
Yeah, airports can be confusing at first. I had a similar experience when I had to go through security for the first time. I didn't realize I needed to take off my shoes and put my belongings in a tray. I was just standing there, and the staff had to tell me what to do. After that, I learned to follow the instructions carefully and watch what others are doing.
Exactly. And security can be stressful if you're not prepared. You have to show your passport, present your boarding pass, and make sure you don't carry anything restricted. I was worried I might hold up the line or make a mistake, but once you do it a few times, you start to get used to the process.
That's true. Another confusing part is finding your gate. Airports are huge, and sometimes you have to walk a long distance just to get to your departure gate. I remember once I almost missed my flight because I didn't check the gate number properly. Since then, I always keep an eye on the departure board.
Timing is really important. You need to arrive at the airport early, especially for international flights. That way, you have enough time to go through all the procedures without rushing. Once everything is done, you can finally relax and just wait for your flight to be called.
One of the most stressful moments for me was when I had to go through passport control. The officer asked me a few questions, and I got nervous, even though everything was fine. I had to answer clearly, show my documents, and explain the purpose of my trip. It's not difficult, but in that moment, you feel like you might say something wrong or forget something important.
I know that feeling. You just need to stay calm and follow the questions carefully. Usually, they just want to check your identity and make sure everything is in order. Another thing I found stressful was when my luggage was delayed. I had to report missing baggage and fill out a form at the airport. It took time, but the staff helped me track my suitcase and sort it out.
Oh, that's tough. Losing luggage is one of the worst things that can happen during a trip. That's why I always try to keep important items in my carry-on bag just in case. Things like documents, money, and essentials should always stay with you. You never know what might happen.
And speaking of carry-on bags, you also have to be careful about what you bring. You need to follow the rules for liquids and make sure everything is allowed. Otherwise, you might have to throw things away at security, which is really frustrating.
I've had that happen before. Now, I always double-check everything before I leave home. It helps me avoid problems at the airport and makes the whole experience much smoother. Once you understand the process, traveling becomes a lot more comfortable and less stressful.
Another interesting moment is boarding the plane. Sometimes they announce different groups, and you have to wait for your turn to board. The first time, I didn't understand that and almost tried to get on the plane too early. Now I always listen for announcements and check my boarding group. It makes everything smoother and helps you avoid confusion at the gate.
Boarding can get chaotic if people don't follow instructions. Once you're on the plane, you need to find your seat and put your luggage in the overhead compartment. If you're not careful, there might not be enough space, so it's better to get on board early if you can. Then, you can just sit down and relax.
True, and sometimes people also mix up seat numbers, which can be awkward. I've seen situations where someone had to sort it out with another passenger. That's why it's important to double-check your seat before sitting down. Small mistakes like that can slow everything down.
Exactly. And after that, the flight attendants usually go over safety instructions. Even though many people don't pay attention, it's important to at least listen carefully and know what to do in case of an emergency. It only takes a few minutes, but it's useful information.
Yeah, once everything is done, you can finally sit back and relax. That's the best part, when all the stress at the airport is over and you're ready to travel. It feels like a reward after going through all the steps.
Another situation that can be stressful is when your flight gets delayed or even canceled. I remember once I had to deal with a flight delay, and I didn't know what to do at first. I had to go up to the help desk, ask for information, and find out if they would rebook my flight. It was frustrating, but I learned how important it is to stay calm and handle the situation step by step.
Delays are really common. When that happens, it's important to check for updates regularly and not just sit and wait. Sometimes airlines also offer compensation or provide food vouchers if the delay is long. You just need to ask the staff politely and see what options you have. Communication really helps in those situations.
I've also learned to always keep an eye on my flight status through my phone. That way, I can react quickly if something changes. It helps you stay informed and avoid unnecessary stress. Technology makes things easier if you know how to use it.
Exactly. And another important thing is connecting flights. If you have a short layover, you need to move quickly between gates, and sometimes even go through security again. It can be stressful if you don't have much time. That's why it's better to plan ahead and give yourself enough time between flights.
Yeah, I agree. Traveling can be unpredictable, but if you stay prepared and flexible, you can deal with problems more easily. In the end, every experience at the airport teaches you something new and helps you become a more confident traveler.
One situation I didn't expect was having to go through customs after landing. I wasn't sure what to do, and I had to fill out a declaration form before passing through. The officer asked if I had anything to declare, and I had to answer honestly. It felt a bit stressful, but everything went smoothly. Now I understand how important it is to follow the rules and not bring anything restricted into the country.
Customs can feel intimidating, but it's usually simple if you're prepared. You just need to have your documents ready and know what you're carrying. If you're unsure, it's always better to ask for clarification instead of guessing. That way, you can avoid unnecessary trouble and get through faster.
And after that, the best moment is finally leaving the airport. Once you pick up your luggage and head out of the terminal, you can finally relax. I always feel relieved when I step outside and realize the journey went well. It's like all the stress just disappears.
At that point, you can look for transportation, whether it's a taxi, bus, or someone picking you up. Sometimes you need to exchange currency or find your way around a new place, which can be a bit confusing. But it's also exciting because your trip is just beginning.
Yeah, that moment is always special. After going through check-in, security, boarding, and everything else, you finally reach your destination. It really shows that if you stay organized and follow each step carefully, traveling becomes much easier and even enjoyable.
One more thing I've learned is how important it is to prepare your documents in advance. Before going to the airport, I always double-check my passport, make sure my visa is valid, and print out important details just in case. Even though everything is digital now, having a backup can really save you from trouble if something goes wrong with your phone or internet.
That's a really good habit. I also try to pack my carry-on carefully so I have everything I might need during the flight. Things like chargers, headphones, and basic items help you stay comfortable. It's also smart to keep essentials within reach instead of putting everything in your checked luggage.
Exactly. Comfort matters a lot, especially on long flights. I also try to wear comfortable clothes and move around a bit during the flight so I don't feel too tired. Small things like that can really make your journey easier and less exhausting.
And I think experience makes everything smoother. The more you travel, the more you understand how to go through each step efficiently and avoid common mistakes. You become more confident and don't feel lost anymore.
That's the best part. At first, airports can feel overwhelming, but over time, you learn how to handle everything with ease. Traveling becomes less stressful and more enjoyable, and you start to look forward to the whole experience instead of worrying about it.